Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. It's time for our beloved power rankings. So this is the month of October power rankings. A little bit of a disclaimer: it doesn't count Wednesday, November 1st games because it's obviously not October. I meant to get this uploaded yesterday, but I felt horrible yesterday. I felt really sick, so I could only do the Dorian video, and then I pretty much passed out on my bed. So that's all me. But anyways, today we're doing the November power rankings. So we'll start out with number 32 right away here. And I think you're not going to be surprised who's number 32. It's the San Jose Sharks. They are 0-8-1 to start the season. Literally went winless in October. To be honest with you, I really could not find a reason to put them below any other team on this list, being dead honest. Just the way this team's played has been absolutely brutal. And people are saying that, it's going to go down as one of the worst teams in NHL history, which, don't get me wrong, I'd love to speculate like that and be, this is going to be one of the worst teams ever, but it is only 1 month into the season. They've played 9 games, and that's the amount of goals they have. They have scored, and on average, they've scored 1 goal a game, which is very sad. And again, I made a video on them a few days ago talking about how, they've only scored more than 1 goal once in their season so far. So it's just been absolutely brutal for San Jose. And I don't expect it to get much better. So San Jose 32 shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone. Next up then at 31, then you have the Calgary Flames with a 2-6-1 record. Absolutely brutal month for Calgary. The only reason why they're above they're not last is because San Jose exists. If San Jose wasn't a team, then I think Calgary will be last. An absolute horrible start to the season. They lose in the Heritage Classic. It seems like both Alberta teams are struggling, even though the Oilers are looking like they're going to get better. But Calgary just can't seem to score either when it matters. And that's just been their biggest issue. It seems like a lot of the problems from last season are really coming into fruition. And, this team just does not look like they're in a good spot right now. So if you're a Calgary fan, I'd be very concerned. I'm going to make a video on them in a few days. Haven't really decided yet, but of course, we'll find out with that. Number 30, I have the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are currently at 3-6 in the month of October. Not bad. Honestly, I'd say for the way the team is projected and the way they're playing, I'm not really too surprised. I think this should be an expected area for them, so I don't think Blackhawks fans should be too mad at this. A few more years, and you guys will be back to contention again. But Bedard had a pretty solid month. Obviously, we'll see what the month of November has for him in store. So, yeah, we'll find out. Number 29 is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are also 3-6, the same record as the Chicago Blackhawks. Man, they have struggled. They are so unbelievably inconsistent. There will be nights where they lose to Anaheim. There will also be nights where they beat Colorado. They are very inconsistent right now, but they're down there. They're last in the East right now, if I'm correct. So that is absolutely brutal. A horrible start to the year for Pittsburgh. And I said this in my preview. I was like, well, yeah, they got Carlson. It'll help them a little bit, but it doesn't solve all their problems. And it just goes to show that plays a factor. They are 29th in my rankings for the month of October. Number 28 is the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers went 2-5-1. Had it not been for them playing Calgary, they would have been 1-5-1. It was a brutal start to the year for them. I know I've said that for the other 4 teams that I mentioned already, but it really has been for Edmonton. They're lucky they're this high because they can't score. The power play is atrocious. And that's crazy to say, too. They can't score? They have McDavid. They have Draisaitl. And additionally, too, the goaltending's been an issue. It seems like everything was a problem for them, and there's been a lot of questions of, could Woodcroft get fired? Very possible. And I think the same thing, too, with Mike Sullivan for Pittsburgh. There's a lot of possibilities there. So, obviously, we're going to find out if that does happen. But, obviously, as of right now, we don't know too much. But I definitely think that we haven't seen any firings yet. But as we progress into the month of November, we're going to see more firings. I know we saw the Dorian fire, but that wasn't fully because of the way the team was. That was just because of the Dadonov situation. But regardless, Edmonton, 28th. It's been brutal for them. Number 27 is the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken are 3-5-2. The Kraken got better towards the end of the month because, they started to score a little bit more. But during that first, 4 to 5 games into the season for them, they could not score. That was, they just couldn't score. Literally, they had, through the first, 4 games, they had, 3 goals. It was absolutely brutal. And, obviously, I know it's early, but you can't win if you can't score. So definitely a factor that played in there. Everything else with the team was fine, I thought, but they just really couldn't score. Number 26, Nashville Predators. Predators have been kind of decent, 4-5, which isn't bad for them, I would say. I feel like they've played well. For the team that they have, I feel like they've played solid. They've competed with teams. They've beat teams like Toronto. Obviously, this is what a lot of people expected them to be around. People didn't expect them to be a great team. So, obviously, 26, I'd say, is a pretty good spot for them. Number 25 is Columbus. Columbus actually had a really good start to the year. And then they fell off a cliff towards, the last couple of weeks. They couldn't score. They were losing to the Islanders. And now they're 3-4-2. So, just absolutely a bad end to the month for Columbus, but I definitely think that if they can turn it around, then they could be really solid. They were pretty good for the first 2 weeks of the season, and then that last week was just rough. It was absolutely awful for them. Number 24, St. Louis Blues, 3-1. Not terrible. They are playing teams. They do have a much tougher schedule, I'd say. They are playing a lot of tougher teams, so I'll give them credit for being 3-1 through that stretch. They definitely have worked hard. I've liked the work ethic out of some of the guys, but definitely they're going to need some room to improve in some areas there. Number 23 is the Buffalo Sabres. They are 4-5. I've liked Buffalo in these past couple of weeks. They've won 3 of their last 4. Even I'm not excluding the Flyers win there. But obviously Buffalo, definitely with Levi, Comrie, and half your goalies out already. It just goes to show that they're already being pummeled with injuries. So that's why I didn't harshly rank them too hard. But definitely they picked it up over the past couple of weeks. And hopefully they can keep it going from there. Because it was a pretty bad start to the year, first few games. But now they seem to have finally started to go in the right direction. Number 22, Minnesota Wild. The Wilds are 3-4-2. I don't know. Minnesota, they've been losing a lot of close games. But, one of their problems has been, too, is their scoring. That's been a big issue, too. Their defensive structure, they've been losing a lot of guys in the blue line as well. Goligoski's out, Spurgeon's out. It's just been a pretty rough go for them so far. So definitely for Minnesota, 22 isn't horrible for them. But hopefully this month of November will be a good turnaround for them. And I think it will be. I think they will do solid. Number 21, Philadelphia Flyers. They were 4-1. I will say this. Philadelphia, and they're my favorite team, by the way, they have been competitive. I'm going to say that. They have played really competitive with some of these teams they've played. Vegas, they've played well. Dallas, they've played well against. They've beaten Minnesota. They've beaten some pretty decent teams. However, these past couple of weeks have not been very good for them. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now, I believe. And even though a lot of these games are close and they are outplaying them, you still need to win them, even if you do outplay the other teams. So definitely that plays a factor there. And Carter Hart being out 4 to 6 weeks, or 3 to 6 weeks, even though that's not included in this power rankings, I'm gonna say that right here, right now. That really screws us, and I feel like we're gonna take a massive drop in the power rankings next month if Hart's gonna be out for that long. So yeah, Philadelphia 21. Number 20 is the Ottawa Senators. The Senators have the same, or pretty much the same record as the Flyers, with a 4-4 record. Ottawa was good for the first few games, and they went on a 3-game losing streak. Then they got their win back against Pittsburgh. Overall, pretty 500 team right now. Obviously, that's kind of where we're entering into the realm of teams right now. But yeah, obviously Ottawa. We'll see how they do in the month of November. That's usually a month for them where they crumble. So we'll see if they don't. Yeah, we'll see if they don't. But yeah, Ottawa at 20. Number 19, Arizona. They're 4-4 as well. The Coyotes are actually entertaining. Never thought I'd say that in my life. And I am a Coyotes fan. So with them, they're playing a lot of competitive teams. They started out on the road for the majority of the year. There are games in that stretch where I'm like, what the hell? How in the name of God are you are you blowing a 4-1 lead to the LA Kings? Like, that's actually mind-boggling. And then you're also staying competitive with the Rangers. You beat the Devils, the Islanders. You're staying competitive with those teams, and you're going in there and beating teams that you should be beating. So definitely Arizona. They look better this year. They aren't going to be a playoff team, obviously, but they definitely look better than they have in previous years, absolutely. So yeah, Arizona at 19. Number 18, Winnipeg. They are 4-3-2. They've picked it up over the past couple of days. Definitely, they started off the year pretty rough, but now they've seemed to have turned it around a little bit. Additionally, there too, like attendance has been a problem. That doesn't play a factor in this, but regardless, I think Winnipeg is pretty deserving for an 18 spot. They look solid so far. Not like too good, but like they still look decent through that month of October. Number 17, and maybe they should be higher, but I didn't put them higher, unfortunately. I have the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim went 5-4, and if it weren't for the 4-0 road trip, they'd be like 1-5 right now. But yeah, Anaheim had a very good road trip. They went in, they beat Pittsburgh, they beat Philly, they beat Boston. They went out there, played their game very well. They seem to have started to score again. You got Frank Vetrano playing great out there. Zegras is finally starting to pick it up. The team looks good right now, and I'm all for it. I'm really entertained by the way they've been playing. I've watched a few of their games. They look fun, and I know it doesn't count towards this month's rankings, but they did beat Arizona last night at overtime, so definitely they look like they are in a good spot right now for sure, and it looks like they're going to get improving even more. And hey, maybe, who knows, maybe they make a push for the playoffs in a weak Pacific division like that, because as I said, like, we already mentioned like half the division. Half of the Pacific I've already said, so, like that just goes to show that this team has a really solid chance at pushing for a playoff spot, absolutely. And number 16, moving out to your bottom 16, you got the Florida Panthers. Florida went 4-3-1. Not a bad month out of them. I figured it'd be worse. They started off pretty rough, and then they turned it around towards the end of the month. So I like the direction Florida's going. Hopefully that they can keep going in that way. But obviously, you're dealing with injuries on your blue line, you're dealing with injuries in your forward core. So definitely, them being 4-3-1 for the month of October, given all that is happening, is a pretty good spot for them right now. Moving on then, you have the New York Islanders at 15th. The Islanders went 4-2-2. Not bad so far for them. They're playing well. They're playing the way they need to play. They're getting shutouts. They're outscoring teams. They look solid through these first couple of games. The hope is, though, they don't crumble in November. I don't think they will. But overall, through the first couple of weeks, they've looked solid. Playing up there, the offense has been good enough, and obviously Sorokin and Varlamov are playing the way they need to play. I believe they had like 3 shutouts that month, so definitely a pretty good month out of the Islanders for sure. Then at number 14, you have the Washington Capitals. I kind of hesitated putting them this high, but I liked the way they turned around their month. They went 4-3-1. I feel like there were, for a little bit there, they weren't like that good. They were looking pretty bad. But then that last couple of weeks, or that last week, they really turned it around with wins against Minnesota, San Jose. They played the way they needed to play, and I think they're earning of that 14th spot right now. They're 4-3-1. So the hope is in November they will turn around their season even more and hopefully have a really good month because they definitely need it given the competitiveness of that Metropolitan Division. So definitely something that I'm looking out there for the Capitals. Number 13, then I have the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning have looked decent. I'm not going to lie. 4-2-3 through the first couple of games. Jonas Johansson, 2 straight shutouts. He's looked great. And I'm going to say this too, like, with having Vasilevsky out, I'd say 4-2-3 is actually pretty solid. And I mean, hey, if you can hold on to into November, I believe Vasilevsky comes back late November, early December. The hope is that you can hold on until then, and then once Vazzy comes in, he's going to play a lot. So, definitely you just need to hold on until then. So, but yeah, Tampa, they've looked solid overall. They're playing the way they need to play, even though Vasilevsky's out. Number 12, then. Surprisingly, they're this high. I have the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens are currently 5-2-2. And I will say this, a lot of those wins are overtime wins. They are wins in extra time. But, they don't count as wins unless you win them. So, obviously, I play that. And, I don't like to, discredit them with that stat. So, that's why I put them at 12. I feel like they're playing well. and they're winning the games they need to. And I think that, November might be a bad month for them. It's very possible it might be. But I like the way they're playing right now, and I think that they're going to be solid. And definitely, they're a team that maybe we doubted a little bit too much. Just saying. And no, I'm not saying playoffs, but definitely a team that I would like to see do well after all the years of pain they've went through. Number 11 is the Carolina Hurricanes. I've liked the way the Hurricanes have turned around their season. They are 6-4, but they were like 3-4. It was a brutal start to the year for them. And yeah, 3-4 doesn't sound too bad, but the way they were losing those games was awful. But you got to take into consideration that they went on their West Coast road trip early. They were playing teams like Anaheim, LA, San Jose, and obviously those are games that are hard to win. For a lot of Eastern Conference teams, it's hard to go through California and win all three of those, and they didn't. I believe they lost 2 of the 3. So definitely, it's just been one of the 3. So it's definitely been a rough go of things for Carolina, but lately they've turned it around. They played well with overtime wins and shutout wins, so they've looked good. And hopefully November will be another good month for them as they try and turn it around. Number 10, I have the Los Angeles Kings. LA started off a little bit concerning. Again, I had my doubts about Cam Talbot, but they went on like a 3-game winning streak, and now they're 5-2-2 to end off the month of October. A good win against Toronto the other night. So definitely they look like a really solid team right now, and the hope is that maybe the goaltending won't be so bad. And I mean, additionally too, like their defense has looked great as well. So definitely that's something that I like there. Number 9, Toronto Maple Leafs. I know Kings fans are going to not like that I have them ranked over the Kings, even though LA beat the Leafs. But the Leafs, they are 5-3-1 right now. They've looked good through their first few games. Matthews, obviously, like 6 goals in the first 2 games. Now he only has like 1 goal in the last like 7. So that's definitely not surprising at all. I knew that was coming. But obviously, Toronto's playing the way they need to. And definitely, I mean, a lot of teams I thought had really good months over them. And that's probably why they're ranked so low. But hopefully, at the end of November, they will be much higher on this list. Number 8, Vancouver Canucks. Wow, like Vancouver this high? 6-2-1. Yeah, I believe last year they were like 1-6-1 at this time of the season. So definitely a really good month for Vancouver to start off the year. It feels like they've solved all their problems. It's insane. But hey, it's the first month. It's like the first couple of weeks. November is really going to determine a lot of what these teams really are. It's going to show a lot of their true colors. So Vancouver, good start to the year, but November is a huge month for them. So we'll obviously see there. Number 7 then, I have the New Jersey Devils. The Devils are 5-2-1. They started off a little bit slow, but then they picked it up. So definitely good there. Jack Hughes on a heater. He's looked great. Overall, the team looks really solid right now, and they look very entertaining to watch. So I hope that they can keep this going because I really enjoy the Devils. And I'll see them in this month of November as well in a few weeks. Next up then, we have the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings went 6-3-1, a very good start to the year for them. And I know they did this last year, but the Brinkett, Larkin, they all look really good right now. And I hope that they're going to be able to keep this going because Red Wings fans deserve playoffs. It's been a rough couple of years for them. But regardless, whether they make it or miss it this year, Red Wings fans have a lot to look forward to, absolutely. So definitely, Red Wings at 6 is very good for them right now. Moving on now into your top 5, we have at 5 the Dallas Stars. The Stars are currently 5-1-1. I like their month a lot. They're winning the games they need to. They're scoring well. They're edging out teams in victories. Overall, right now, they look very solid, deserving of 5. I feel like the team's looking great right now. Ottinger's looked good. Overall, Dallas at 5, I think, is very deserving. Now you get into the undefeated teams, or pretty much the undefeated teams. You got Colorado. Colorado this past month, they went, 6-2. Colorado, they were like 6-0, and then they kind of lost to Pittsburgh and were shut out by Buffalo. Both of those games were shutouts, by the way. It's been, the last week was a little bit rough, but they still look solid. 6-2 is a good record for them. They are deserving of that 4th spot. They have looked really solid. Now, a team that I think has been better than them is number 3, the New York Rangers. They have looked great. The Rangers are 7-2 right now. They look awesome, and they went 5-0 on their road trip, which is what they needed to do. Even though they play like Edmonton and Calgary, then you need to win those games, whether or not they're bad teams. So they obviously won those games. They look great. The offense is at a high level right now. They look like they're buzzing right now. So definitely the Rangers are one of my favorites right now in the power rankings. Number 2, Boston Bruins. They are 8-0-1. Boston obviously suffered a loss last week to Anaheim, but overall the team looks great. Everyone looks awesome. Marchand, Pastrnak, Olmark, Matthew Poitras looks awesome. They're keeping him on the roster. So yeah, obviously Boston, they've looked awesome. That's obviously what needed to happen for them. So I love their direction and where they're going right now, and they are deserving of being number 2. And finally, at number 1, I have the Vegas Golden Knights. The Knights, again, they always seem to find a way to win at 9-0-1. They look awesome. They look very entertaining. Although they did play a close one against Montreal to wrap up the month, they still look great. And, just the team looks awesome right now. And, yeah, Jack Eichel looking good. That's all I got to say. And that is your October Power Rankings. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back for November on December 1st or 2nd, whether one I want to do. Obviously, by then, we're going to see a lot of these teams change records a lot. We're really going to see some of these teams' true colors. So we'll see what happens there. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.